them, but no.
All right, well, welcome. I'm Dr. Tricia Seymour.
Dr. Rusty Barrier, and we are here tonight to talk about the day after Valentine's, relationships, soulmates, and twin flames. But before we get there, all of us have brought our day with us. So let's take a moment, just get comfy in your seat, close your eyes, take a deep, slow breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you do that again, feel all the stress and tension flow out from your body through your feet into the floor, just releasing and letting go. Take another deep breath. And this time, in your mind's eye, see a basket, just a normal basket. And in this basket, place all your worries, all your concerns, everything from today. Place it in this basket and let it know you will pick it up later. Take a deep breath. Let it go. And feel yourself fully present here, now. And allow your eyes to open as you return here, now.
As we've said before, and we'll say every time we do this, this class is not for the faint of heart. This class is assuming that you have some basic understanding of whatever the topic is that we're talking about, and we're trying to get you to think a little bit differently than what you may have learned, what you've had before.
I was talking with someone after last week's class, and one of the things that came to mind to remind myself and all of you is Tricia and I look at the world from top down. Because we have taken that journey, we see it not from the mountain peak, but probably closer to the space station. All right, now there's more galaxy to go beyond that, by the way, so I'm not claiming anything here. Most of us, however, see all of this from the ground up, and it's a very different view. So we're just offering you a slightly different perspective. So, relationships.
Do we have one?
Yeah, depends.
There's a lot of them, don't we?
There's a lot
We
of
have
them.
relationships with everybody we meet, even if we just meet them for a minute. You know, a waiter or waitress or barista, you have at least a second, a few minute relationship with everybody. So relationships are what we're made of, right? Unless you're a hermit in some cave somewhere.
And then you still have a relationship with your body, the cave, the bugs in the cave, the earth itself. We are in a constant relationship. Everything is interrelated. We are all interdependent. So since that really is how life operates, perhaps it's time we all took a deep breath, stepped back, and said, how do we make those relationships actually work smoothly in our life?
And what we're going to talk about is a little bit about relationships in general, just to give kind of a basis, and then the topics of soulmates and how that kind of relationship might be a little different, and then the topic of twin flames and how that relationship also might be a little bit different, what they are, what they look like, what they aren't, all of that. I would say, from my perspective, every relationship you have, good or bad, is there for one reason: for you to look inside. That's it. Self-awareness. So if it was a parent relationship, you might learn what to do and what not to do. If it was a business relationship, the same. You might learn things to do and things not to do. I heard a friend of ours once say, I learn from everyone I meet. Sometimes I learn what I should do, and sometimes I learn what I better not try, what I shouldn't do, right? And so all relationships are that way. Whether they are casual, long-term, or for the eternity, whatever. They're all really about you, in that, not in a narcissistic way, it's not like it's all about me, but in that the person that you're in the relationship with is there to help you learn more about yourself.
And Tricia touched on something very quickly. Number one, I think most everyone here understands everything on this planet is impermanent. Yes? Yes. What that means, though, is every single relationship you will ever have is terminal from the day it begins.
That's negative.
Not at all. It's terminal. Find me one that will not end in death, divorce, or separation on this planet. Can't do it. Now, the reason this is important to accept is if I'm in a relationship with Tricia and I'm concerned about when, how, and where this relationship may end, I'm really not present, am I? I'm concerned about the future, or I'm projecting the past onto the present. Once I accept this will end, whether it's today, tomorrow, or when one of us crosses over, right, I can now be present. I no longer am investing energy in what could go wrong. I'm investing energy in what is.
And relationships, when you look at them, they're really mirrors. So think about them as a mirror. Sometimes it's a mirror, the person you're seeing in your relationship with is a mirror of where you used to be. You've probably dated people or met people that reminded you of an ex and you went, oh no, been there, done that. Right?
We call those red flags.
And you don't go into that again. You're like, I learned from that one. Mm-hmm. And people say that. They're like, well, I thought I learned that from that other relationship. Why is that kind of a relationship still showing up? It's just to verify that you got it and you don't get into that relationship again.
Actually, if they keep showing up, it's probably safe to say you didn't get it. You thought it was about them. They were the narcissist. They were the one who was crazy.
They were the problem.
They were the problem. No, they had behaviors. You got to look in here. If you don't want to attract that same behavior, what is it that you do that they were mirroring you? And it may not be identical, right? You know, one of my relationships, I had someone who went into meltdowns over everything, basically. Right? I don't melt down that often. You may have noticed that. But I do, and in relationships, I tended to get a little irritated periodically. I had to look at that. If I don't want to attract people who are melting down, in my words, then I need to say, what was my role in allowing her to melt down?
Or attracting that, you know, and again, just what in you might need to be looked at.
Yeah, exactly.
The second kind of mirror, there's three. The second kind of mirror is where you are today. So some people you meet with and you meet up and you're like, wow, we really connected. We're in the same space today. We're thinking the same way. This is great. It could be a great friend. It could be a partner, whatever. And there's that mirror of where you are. And that also gives you a chance to go, well, I guess I did learn those lessons, or I'm in a good space.
Especially if you like what you see in the mirror.
Right. Okay. And then the third kind is where you could be. So that is when you meet someone, individual, friend, couple, partner, whatever, who's where you want to go. And then you can look at them as the mirror of the future. That's where I want to be like that person. I want to go there. Not to imitate them and be exactly like them, but to see that as a mirror. So what are they doing different, thinking different, acting different to where I am today?
Right.
And what is it I need to look internally and fix, change, work on, understand, have insight from, so that I can get where that I want to go, which is that mirror that's down the road. So those kind of mirrors are
very important,
right,
because they really are helping you with your personal growth. Now, there is another aspect to relationships, and that is that you get into them to heal your childhood.
Say it isn't so.
How many times have you found yourself in a relationship with your mother or your father, depending on who you're dating? All right. Do not look at them at the moment. But that's it. The wounds that we had, and all of us, I don't care if you had the most perfect childhood on the entire planet Earth, there is still some wound in there that you have to heal. Whether it was from the fact that your pet died when you were 7, and your parents were not overly sympathetic and went, well, it's just an animal, go get another one. All right, whatever it may be, there will be wounds there to heal. That's what our relationships put in our face. Okay? Unfortunately, most of the time when that pops up, we don't recognize that that's what's going on. All right? Tricia has told a story, and we jokingly say this, we didn't actually have the t-shirts. But when we first started dating, she would look at me and go, I'm not your mother. All right? Because I would be reacting, and I'll tell you this, and my mother was, nothing was ever right. Everything could be done better. All right? So
you forgot to mention we're both psychotherapists.
We're both psychotherapists.
In case anybody doesn't remember
so
that.
There you go. Yeah. In case you don't know that,
Two
we have a few skills
so
that were built in
already.
Yes. And when she would get upset, I would look at her and I'd go, I'm not the person who hurt you. All right? Because that's what we do. We project that image of the other person onto a fresh body if we haven't worked our stuff. That's why relationships are so valuable. They allow you to work your stuff because you're seeing yourself reflected from your partner.
So I want you to literally, this is literal, I want you to repeat after me, okay? I cannot change another person. Now
say that fast. I cannot change another person. All right. Now I see some of you that are parents and go, yeah, I changed my kids. No, the only thing you changed with your kids was their diapers. All right. They're still the same personality that they came marching into this planet with.
But I will say that most of us get into relationships assuming we can change the other person. There's something we don't like about them, so we want to make it better. Or you get in a relationship, you thought it was great, and then you realize they're not quite the way you thought they were, and you want to change them.
Or the other thing that you do is you get into a relationship, you fall in love with the person's strength or their compassion or whatever, and the first thing you do in the relationship is try to change that.
Starts to irritate
because you only want to aim at you, not anybody else.
Starts to irritate you after a while, right?
So,
their personality traits.
Just remember what it is in the relationship that attracted you in the first place, and then take a look at what it is that they're bringing for you to grow with.
Well, and if we're saying that all relationships are mirrors, and we take that literally, like if I'm looking at you and I need to see myself, right? That if you're triggering me, then I need to look here. If there's something that I don't like in you, I need to look here. It's really not about the other person. They're holding up a mirror to you so you can see what it is inside of you need to work on. So now imagine if you don't like what the other person's saying or doing, painting makeup or painting on that mirror. The moment you walk away, the paint's still there, right? And it's not quite, it's makeup on a mirror.
Hang on. We're going to back up to that metaphor a little bit. Ladies, most of you wear makeup. You guys, unless we're doing guy liner, really don't. All right. But if you were standing in your mirror in your bathroom in the morning and you were getting ready for work and you're putting your mascara on the mirror and you're putting your lipstick on the mirror and you're putting all the eyeliner on the mirror and you walk away and go to work, are you going to look like what you saw in the mirror?
To anybody else? No.
You cannot change the mirror.
Right.
You can change you. You can put the makeup on you and you'll look different. But don't try to change the mirror. Okay? You are also, because it is a relationship, by the way, you're the mirror for your partner. Right? You're the mirror for them. So be aware, sometimes you have to step back because you're going to get triggered by something they say or do when they're triggered by something you said or did, or something the world said or did. You have to take that breath and go, oh yeah, they're looking in the mirror. And you stop back and you take a deep breath. And if you've worked with them before, you say, what's this really about? What is this really about? And you're inviting them to look deeper to what it is that's going on inside of them. But you have to do this from a safe space. You have to create that space for them. Otherwise you go, what's this really about? You son of a gun! All right?
So the reason we're talking about relationships is because no matter what kind of a relationship it is, these principles are the same.
Mm-hmm. Even if soulmate and twin flame, they're still there.
They're all still there. And so it's a willingness to better yourself, to become a better person, to watch how you act and interact and what triggers you, look at your own triggers in situations and in relationships and what is that really about and how do I clear that so it doesn't keep getting triggered and all of that. So it really is about about self-awareness. And that's what relationships, that's the entire intent of all relationships, is just more self-awareness.
Now, I'm going to go back and remind you, we're all one being. Right? So the real relationship is with that one being. That's really what we're wanting, and each of us represent that to another.
Different aspects.
Different aspects, different facets of a crystal.
So in the metaphysical world, they talk about soulmates. So let's just give a brief understanding of what...
Before going there, I had a question.
Yes.
When you talked about the mirror, right?
Just
so
mirrors and relationships.
mirrors and relationships. So a scenario where you have a partner, the partner betrays you, right?
Yep.
So how can that be you?
How many times in your life have you betrayed yourself? Sold yourself out for? There's your mirror. All she's showing you, she's triggering a sense of betrayal, right? But the real betrayal is inside of yourself. Her behavior may still be aberrant, not abhorrent, but aberrant, all right? But it's about you. You can't change her.
I think it's also about your response to the situation. So a lot of people find themselves what we'll call doormats, where they just allow bad relationships to continue and they don't leave them. And I think part of that is just to look at yourself and see, one, again, is there something in me that, and in a relationship, if somebody strays, you do want to go, is there something I'm not providing or understanding about myself and understanding about myself in this relationship that had any influence on the behavior? And it may not have. Right? It could just be their behavior. And then you have to say, so how do I respond from a healthy point of view to that behavior as well? And that's about understanding yourself. Again, what's okay for you, what's not okay for you. I've worked with couples that one went off and had an affair and they decided they were going to work through it and look at their own stuff, both of them individually as well as a couple, and they stayed together and they were stronger. And I've had other couples that one went off and had an affair and they both looked at, the one that was cheated on, I guess you'd say, looked at themselves and said, I'm more worthy than this and I choose not to stay in this relationship. Not that they're a bad person, just I'm making choices for my own health and well-being.
And I'm going to take a different twist on that one.
Sure.
Because sometimes it may be the person who had the affair that has to kind of go, I'm not happy in this relationship, I need to let it go for my own health and the other person's and move on. All right? So you have to understand, you've got both of those things.
There's lots of dynamics, but it really comes back to sitting with yourself, looking at yourself, looking at the shadow. We'll talk about that in more details in another talk. The parts of you don't like, the parts of you that where you need to be better, stronger, weaker, more compassionate, all the different pieces that we all have, and really just doing some deep dive personal growth kind of stuff, and then stepping up and going, now, what do I want now? What's now? So what now? Do I stay, work on it? Do I leave? Do I go and do this as well? I mean, now you just make a choice from a healthy balance perspective in a relationship. Excuse me.
So now let's move on to
Is that
Yeah, different types.
what you're asking? But it still comes back to look inside.
Look inside.
Look inside. So instead of blaming outside, it's all really, the whole experience here on planet Earth is all about look inside.
Look inside.
How can I be more awake? How can I be more aware? How can I be more true to myself? How can I heal my wounds? It truly is a self journey. You can journey with someone, but I still have to do my self journey along the way.
Know thyself. Know thyself.
Somebody said that.
I think that was either Plato
A
or
while
Socrates.
ago? Maybe a while ago.
A long time ago.
New information.
Yeah. So, soulmates.
So what is a soulmate in Metaphysics. What does metaphysics say a soulmate is, sir?
A lot of different things. Soulmates basically can be anyone or anything in your life. All right. If we're looking inside the metaphorical game, all right, soulmates may be those who are, in that terminology, from your soul family. All right. So they're a group that you've kind of hung out with for a long time. All right. Now, they can be present in your life as a lover, they can be present in your life as a business partner, they can be present in your life as a pet, a parent, a child. Tricia will tell you her mother was her soulmate. All right? They are there to truly activate your awakening, is what a soulmate is there for. Now, they may teach you different skills and different things, and it is not always a pleasant relationship with your soulmate. All right? Matter of fact, it probably won't be, because you are there to knock the dross off of each other. If you are a diamond, it takes another diamond to cut the dross off so that you can truly shine. That's what soulmates are there for. They are there to help you grow, remember, and shine.
So, if you think of it just, we talked last time about reincarnation, and that it probably isn't your one soul going from this body to this body to this body to this body. That you go back into the sea as a droplet, you go back into the sea of life, sea of source, and that another little scoop is out, and you're part of that scoop, but there may be other aspects too. So I guess in your analogy, you would think they took a bunch of little scoops all close together.
Let's say you have the ocean, and then you have a single wave in the ocean. Now someone comes along with a dropper, goes one drop, same wave, the next drop, it just goes right down that wave. That would be your soulmates. Okay, they're coming out from the same wave of the ocean, soul family, that you originated from.
So a lot of times when you meet these people, there's just an instant connection.
Yeah, you know them.
You just go, wow, I just feel like I know you from somewhere. Man, this just feels like, have we met before? That kind of feeling.
And it's not a pickup line at that point.
No. or you just feel like there's a connection. Now, as he said, soulmates may turn out to be a business partner that really chafes you or does you wrong, or some boss that you don't like, because they're there to help you grow. Mm-hmm. And it's, again, you can go, well, they're an SOB and I don't like them. Then you have to go, okay, now what is it about them I don't like, and what's triggering inside of me? What
am I trying to learn
What's
here?
triggering here inside
Remember,
of me?
last time we've said, throw the word why out. Why this happened? Why am I with this person? Why are they? Forget that.
Right.
What am I trying to learn here? What do I need to do to get the message and move forward?
Right, and how can I grow?
And how can I grow, and how can I help them grow?
And how can I be a better person, right?
And we're going to be very blunt, folks. Sometimes how I can help them grow is not being in the relationship. Okay? Please understand that.
Yeah, so the truth is, if you look in your life right now, and you look at both life partners, friends, business partners, family members, people you just feel there's like an extra connection to, they are probably soulmates. There's a lot of them. There's
also the strong possibility they're not a member of your family.
Yeah, right, and they can be. And so and he even said, even a pet can be a soulmate. If you have a really, really tight connection with your cat or your dog, more than usual, and I don't mean anything weird. I just mean, you just really love them. We are talking about relationships.
Those are usually the things that come out of my mouth.
I need to clarify that. But you just feel like this, wow, we might have been together in a past life. I don't know, however you want to word it, right? But you just feel a connection. And then when that connection happens, it's cool, because some of those people are like best friends. Mm-hmm. Or they really are there to support you and encourage you and tell you you're doing it right and great job and keep going, could have been a teacher or someone who had a big influence in your life, both negative or positive.
Right.
And so it's kind of fun, especially in the positive side, of course, when we hook up with, in any of those scenarios, connect with a soulmate. Soulmates
You were
are...
saying hook up, not in the modern sense.
No,
but just in
connect.
connect.
No, not in the modern sense. Connect. Again, back to your dog. I really like it. Connect. So if you feel that kind of a connection, so if you think back right now, everybody that's here can probably think of at least one, maybe multiple people that you've had kind of that connection with. It could even be that, as we were saying with relationships, it could even be that electric connection when you first start dating, and then it goes haywire, right? It goes south. Didn't
Goes from
work
being
out.
electric to shocking?
Yeah, to shocking, right? So it definitely could. So, but again, every one of these is about you. What can you learn? Go ahead. I'm sorry. You can tell another joke.
No, it's actually semi-serious. If you're having a difficulty looking at this in a love relationship as someone you're learning from, think of a mentor who's come into your life. That's going to also be a soulmate.
Right.
They're there to lift you and guide you and move you along.
And it can be a life partner.
Can.
I would say that people, if you look at it, when they have a really good marriage or a really good relationship or partnership, and they support each other and they're there for each other, it's probably a soulmate for them. Again, I don't want to say that it can be something negative. I just want you to understand it could go either way. But most people's life partners that they're with, that they're happy with, or that they feel like they have a connection with in some way or another is a soulmate. You'll also hear people who have a life partner where one of them works and one of them doesn't. And they believe that the person that's working is working, that they had an agreement, or that's their soulmate, that they're going to take care of them. So that's also one of those feelings. I'm coughing a lot tonight. But soulmates are really powerful, and I don't want to underestimate it and jump to twin flames, because everybody thinks they want a twin flame, and I'm going to tell you that's not going to happen, nor is that the case. But soulmates are amazing.
I'm going to be very blunt. You have a extraordinarily, almost order of magnitude greater chance of finding a soulmate in a lifetime than you do your twin flame. Okay.
And I think about the soulmates in my life that I've had over the years, and it's just been amazing. It's great. Some of them, I have an ex-husband I believe was a soulmate. Didn't work out, but we got out of it, both of us, what we needed to. We learned more about ourselves.
You learned what you both wanted, actually.
Right, we learned more about ourselves and what we wanted and what we didn't want in a relationship. And so, again, it's about self-awareness and self-learning. And when you see it that way, then even if a relationship's bad, ends in divorce or ends in whatever, or a business relationship goes south, you can appreciate the good times and what that person showed you about yourself and your wants and your likes and your dislikes and all of that, or what you'll put up with and what you won't. That self-insight. That's what we're talking about. So soulmates are amazing. I hope every one of you find many, many soulmates, to be friends, to be lovers, to be companions, whatever, business partners, because they can be amazing, amazing relationships.
My grandfather was a soulmate for me. Okay, I wouldn't have used those words as a child because I didn't have them, but as I got them, I understood that's who he was. Far more significant of a relationship in my life than my mother or father. And honestly, the most significant relationship in my life until Tricia.
Right.
So
does that make sense about soulmates? Does that it make sense to you what a soulmate is?
And we are going to give you a chance to ask questions.
So again, I think what happens is a lot of people underestimate the power of a soulmate.
They do.
And the both from a way of learning more about yourself, as well as what great things can come to your life with a soulmate.
Don't spend so much time chasing something that you miss what's right in front of you. I'm going to say that again. Don't spend so much time chasing something that you think you want that you miss what's right in front of you. I know old sayings a lot of you have never heard, like a bird in hand is worth two in the bush, right? Meaning what you have is more valuable than what you don't have. All right, so now we're headed for...
Not yet.
Okay.
So, one more thing that will lead into it.
Sure thing, Columbo. Just one more thing.
Just one more thing. Talk about old references.
I'm old.
One of the things in any relationship that is a game of the ego. Our egos, as we said, are not a bad thing. We all have them. We all are going to live with them. They're the key that goes in the ignition to start the car and play the game. You have to have one in order to be physically in a body, and I've never met anyone who I would say does not have an ego who's walking around physically in a body. I don't know that it's possible. Okay? What we talked about, though, is we can get to a space where we're friends with our ego, and they're not running the show all the time.
Right.
And we're not always coming from that place of ego. But the ego, when it comes to relationships, the ego wants us to believe we are not enough.
Right.
I am not enough. I'm not complete. I need my other half. I'm not enough. I need a partner. Now, we may want a partner, but if you're in a space of feeling you need a partner in order to be complete, in order to be happy, in order to be satisfied, then that's one of those things you need to look at, to learn and to grow.
Because if all relationships are about helping you develop the relationship within yourself, if you're not letting that happen because you're looking for something else, it's really about learning to love yourself. And as Tricia said, the ego, and this is a very powerful clue for all of you here, for everyone listening tonight. The ego's bottom line is you are not enough. Right? Now, why does the ego feel that way? Because the ego believes it's separate from source, it's separate from oneness, and therefore it lives in a state of fear that it's not enough. Once you heal that separation internally, your ego begins to be a little more manageable and begins to work with you, not against you on everything. It will still, however, subtly come along and inform you you're not enough over and over again until you realize, I am enough. I am that.
Mm-hmm. So just be aware whenever those thoughts come into your mind of, I need a partner, I'm not happy with, can't be happy if I don't have one, life would be so much easier if I did, all those kind of thoughts, that's really the ego sneaking up and just saying you're not enough by yourself. You're not whole. You're missing something. You gotta go find it. You're missing something. And you're not missing anything. Okay, the truth is you are whole, you are complete, there is nothing missing, you do not need another person, but our little ego goes, yes I do, wait, no, yes I do. No, you don't. You are complete and whole in yourself. And that's what self-awareness and personal growth does. It helps you realize and get to that potential of knowing
I am enough.
I am enough. I am whole. I am complete without anybody else in my life. And when you get to that space of feeling totally complete and totally whole, that's when the magic happens. That's when the really cool relationships
That's
show
when
up.
your magic begins to happen and your ability to manifest begins to explode exponentially.
Right. So, twin flames. Rusty's going to tell you the mythology around twin flames. I say that very specifically. The mythology. What's a twin flame, Rusty? What's the mythology?
And then we'll tell you why it's a mythology.
What's the story?
The story is that we as a soul, as an individuated soul, are too big to fit in a body. All right? So at the very moment of the creation of our soul, it is split into two parts, masculine and feminine. Notice I did not say male and female, masculine and feminine. You will have some masculine in the feminine and some feminine in the masculine. And after that split, you go find your first bodies. All right? The very first time you incarnate, you will connect with your twin flame. so you recognize the resonance of who you are and who they are and who source is, right? Then you go merrily along in the game, playing all the different roles you may play in this game we call life, right? The final time that you will reincarnate or incarnate, you will find your twin flame once again and you will join. And then that energy comes together, you feel it, you know it, you're out of the game very shortly thereafter. Right? Shortly doesn't necessarily equate to time on this planet.
So that's the story. So if you don't know what metaphysics teaches about what is a twin flame, that's what they teach.
Yeah. So if you think about the definition we had of soulmates, and it's the wave in the ocean that you're pulling from one wave, different drops. This is you take one drop and you cut it in half, and that's twin flames. That's simple. So, how many of you are on your first trip through here? Anybody want to admit that one? All right, how many of you think you're on your last trip through here? Don't want to admit that one either, do you? We've got one person.
You're ready to be on your last trip,
Yeah.
right?
All right, so twin flames, what does it mean? And the best way that I know to tell you about twin flames is to simply tell you how we met and what has happened for us. So I'll give you a little background. I can pretty much promise it will be a miracle if I make it through this dry eye. All right?
So can I preface before you? Can I give you a minute to
Sure.
start? Okay. So one of the great things about a really healthy relationship is that you don't actually have to agree with each other on everything.
You know.
Just an FYI. All right? So I don't, even after he tells you about our relationship here in a minute, I still don't believe in twin flames. I don't believe there is such a thing as a twin flame journey. I hear people say, I'm on my twin flame journey. That means that you're looking for something outside of you to make yourself whole, right? So to me, that's exactly what we just said doesn't exist. It's not about looking outside yourself to make yourself whole. The twin flame journey is the ego's game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not whole, I need to go find my twin flame. This lifetime I'm going to find my twin flame. I had never even heard of a frickin' twin flame when we met. I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah, but you've done a little research since then and found out it wasn't just all made up in my head.
I found out, I've done research. It still doesn't mean I agree with it all. Still doesn't mean I believe it.
Well, I understand also why. We'll explain why. Actually, we'll use the terminology of soulmates. We'll use the terminology of twin flame, but the reality is that only exists in the game of duality. It's the only place that you can actually have an other. That's it. So we'll get there.
And I think that the whole scenario for me of twin flames means again that I'm not whole. I'm only half. Mm-hmm. And I know for myself, and I think for you as well, before we met, we both actually had already worked our crap. Won't say everything was clear, but we worked a lot of our stuff.
I don't know, you gonna tell me, had I?
We worked a lot of our stuff. We've worked more since we've been together.
Yes on that.
But we worked a lot of our own stuff. We both, again, we're both psychotherapists, so we've both been in psychotherapy. We already cleared a lot of our past, our childhood, our traumas, any of that kind of stuff. Obviously, as we mentioned, we trigger stuff in each other that we have to look at.
And also, honestly, we didn't have all that much in our past to clear.
And so I think one of the misunderstandings of whether it's a soulmate or a twin flame, again, is that they're going to complete you in some way. And I'm going to tell you that if you hold that belief, you will never find them.
Right.
The belief is I am whole and complete. I do not need another person to make myself feel complete. Might be nice to have somebody to have dinner with or to hang out with or whatever. That's a different story. But I don't need another person to complete myself.
And part of that journey for both of us in getting to that space of being ready for this to happen by grace, and trust me, that is how you meet your twin flame. You don't go out searching for them. You'll never find them. It's kind of like enlightenment. It's an accident. It happens when you're least expecting it. Right? You can prepare yourself for it by doing what she says and working your stuff. Right? But it just appears for you. It really does.
And the mythology again says that if you are not ready and you bump into your twin flame, all hell will break loose because you aren't ready to be with each other.
Right.
And so there's more personal work and self-work.
Because you are the perfect mirror for each other. So when you have not worked that stuff, it's like a lightning storm going between those two mirrors. And you don't want to sit there for that. You want to get out.
So anyway,
you will blow yourselves apart.
So that's again part of the story of twin flames, is that you may meet them along the way, but it won't be a positive experience until you're both really clear.
But I want to reiterate what Tricia said a moment ago. It's about being whole inside yourself. You will go through your existence, coming through all the soulmates to help you awaken to who you are, to help you work your stuff, to cut the dross off the diamond that you are. When we met, I had no desire to ever get married again.
Nope, me either.
I didn't even care if I ever had another relationship. I was happy being single. Of course, I have no guilt about playing around and never did. Except in relationships I don't and never did. Right? But that's where I was. I was whole. I was complete. I didn't need someone to make me happy. I didn't need someone to take care of me. I didn't need, it was all, I was happy already.
And I would say when we met, neither of us were actively looking to date. Matter of fact, we both were like, no, that's okay, I'm okay not dating.
Yeah.
Not that we didn't date, that's not, as he said, before we met each other, not that we didn't date, but just, it wasn't like we were like hunting for someone to date next, who's next, you know, that kind of thing. It really, it just kind of, we literally bumped into each other. And it wasn't,
sort of.
It wasn't like we were looking for.
We were not looking, please understand that.
Even when we first met, we thought it was more, I thought it was more business oriented than it would be anything else.
Right.
So yeah, because we had that in common. So you go for it.
How did this begin?
Way back.
I'm not sure I want this on camera. All right. Trish and I'm going to go back in time before we met a little bit. It took me living in Dallas for approximately 3 years before we met. It took her living here 11 years before I even showed up in Dallas.
He's a little slow.
She had a lot of work to do.
We actually saw each other 6 months before we formally met at another event.
But here's how the magic begins. The week I moved to Dallas, the very first week, I was looking for an office to work out of to do my breath work. I meet at an office down on Coit and 635. I'm talking to them, telling them who I am, what I do, and one of the women there looks at me and she says, "You need to meet Tricia Seymour." I'm in a relationship at that point. Why do I need to meet someone else? You know, sure, I'm always open to meeting someone, but that was it.
We were in the same industry.
Same industry.
And it was a business type thing.
Business connection.
It's because I was famous.
Infamous might be more like it.
Everybody, I was famous as a therapist here in the area.
You were.
You knew me and thought you should meet me as a therapist. Maybe you needed therapy.
That could have been it, but she was also a therapist, so I think she would have handled that.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
All right. So anyway, now fast forward about a year. I'm doing a training that is offering continuing education folks or credits for therapists. I buy a list from the state of Texas. I'm sticking labels on things, you know, randomly picking. I'm not mailing out 5,000 pieces of mail. All right. And I stick a label on it and it says Tricia Seymour. So now this is twice that name has popped up in my face.
So he claims he mailed something to me, and please understand, I don't remember ever getting it. So it's not like it made an impact on me.
You don't read mail. I'm married to you. I've seen those stacks.
Right.
She reads email. But anyway, so now we get to the point. I literally had moved out of the apartment I was living in with the woman I had been with that day, right? Moved into my own apartment.
So you'd been with her for a while, though?
3 years. For 3 years.
And you'd separated.
And we separated. So I'm now in my own apartment. By the way, my choice. I'm hot. I'm tired. I'm grungy. I don't want to do anything. Spirit goes, get off the couch, go to Unity and listen to this talk. I don't want to. It's so-and-so. I know who that is. I don't want to. Get up. You want to be around people. Go be with your friends. Notice they haven't mentioned anything else to me yet. So I get up off the couch. I take a shower. I get dressed. I go to this talk. By the way, this talk was given by a lady by the name of Ruth Montgomery. Ruth Montgomery was very instrumental in part of my awakening because back in the late 70s, early 80s, she wrote a book called Strangers Among Us that introduced the world to walk-ins. And we'll cover that later. So I go. Now, your side of the story at that point still is?
So I was in a place in my life, single, driving around in my hot red Miata with the top down, having fun, dating, no big deal, right? And but I'm waking up spiritually too. And I'm at a point in my life where I hear guidance very clearly. And I hear, take a left, take a right, go in there, you're going to meet somebody. So that was a normal thing for me, was to be truly told, go here, sit down, somebody's going to come, you're going to meet them, talk to them, and then I'd get some tidbit of wisdom or knowledge or information I needed on my journey, and I'd be great, and we'd go our separate ways, right? And so I heard that I needed to go to this talk. I did not know who this lady was. I did not know anything about this event, but all I heard was, you need to go to this event, you're going to meet someone. I'm like, great. So I got there late, as always.
Normal.
I sat in the balcony because this place was packed. Unity isn't anymore at the moment, but they were packed for this talk.
Probably 1,500, 2,000 people in this auditorium.
So I'm sitting in the top and I'm listening, and then it kind of takes a weird turn, and so I'm not really paying attention to the talk, and I'm just looking around up here in the balcony trying to see if there's somebody I'm going to meet. And
she couldn't have found me because I was probably pretty much directly below her.
And nobody's jumping out. I'm not hearing in my head, that's who you need to go talk to, because I would hear very clearly, go talk to that person, that's who you need to go talk to. I'm not hearing anybody. I saw a cute guy, not him. I saw a cute guy I thought I might date, but that wasn't what I was there for. So I went downstairs. It was over. Once it was over, I went downstairs, and there's two big double doors in the back. And so I stood by, I just heard which door to stand by. I stood by the back door, walked right in the back as everybody's filing out. I mean, again, we're talking lots and lots of people filing out, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Who am I supposed to meet? You know, why am I here?
I'm an oblivious guy. I don't know anything that's going
Again, this
on.
is why I came. I'm supposed to meet someone, and I've always met the person I was supposed to meet. So I'm like, is it you? Is it you? I'm like, again, I don't know why or what this is about.
I remember 1,500, 2,000 people. There are now 4 people left in the auditorium. Me, a client of mine who's talking to me, another lady up at the top that I want to talk to, and Tricia. That's all that's left in there. I'm walking up the aisle.
I'm getting discouraged at this point, right?
My client is just talking away as we're walking up the aisle about breath work, which when you've done it, you know it will make you talk about the experience and what's happening. And we can now get to the top of the auditorium.
Back at the back.
Back at the back, by the doors.
Standing.
And this blonde over here goes, oh, actually my client goes, have you ever done breath work with him? Her response, have you ever done it with anyone other than him? She says, no. And she said, well, you need to understand at least 85% of what you get is simply his energy. Well, my ego likes that comment, and she's kind of cute, so we started talking.
And by now I realize he's who I'm supposed to meet. So, you know, again, there's only 4 people left in the auditorium other than 3 people other than myself. I realize that he's the person I'm supposed to meet. And so we walk out into the lobby, and we are chatting away, and I find out we have a lot in common. I'm like, well, this is interesting, you know, we're both psychotherapists. We both are licensed. We both work with some of the same people.
We're
all
both
these,
making a transition to corporate training.
we're both going into corporate training and teaching rather than counseling and just all this stuff. Is this my part too?
Go for it. I'll chime in when you're ready.
And then he makes a comment that he just got a contract, a corporate contract to do corporate training. And so of course I'm interested because we're both like in the same industry and same field. And I, by the way, had just talked to a company who had interviewed me, and they told me that there were 2 people up for the job to do corporate training with this particular company. And I met with them and talked to them and told them what I could do, and I gave them a price of what the price would be, and you know, the normal business stuff, right? And I had talked with them that day to follow up and find out whether or not they had awarded the contract. And they told me that morning that they had not awarded the contract yet. So we're talking that evening, and guess what company he just won the contract from?
So now
Same
look at
company.
it.
So the
How
2
many
people,
people are in Dallas?
right?
We bid on the exact same contract. All right.
So he literally tells me it's this contract. Now, I didn't tell him I had put a bid on this contract.
She's sneaky.
I am a little bit sneaky. So I actually started pumping him for information. And I said, oh, you got that contract. Well, that's interesting. Can you mind telling me how much you bid on that contract?
Sure, $1,500
Oh,
bucks.
crap, that's right under what I bid. Oh, did you know anybody that worked there? I mean,
Yeah, the CEO's wife is my client.
ah, crap, I didn't stand a chance, right? So I assume, so we had a great talk.
We did.
We exchanged phone numbers.
We knew we liked each other.
We enjoyed each other's company. We had a lot in common. But I got in my hot little Miata and started cussing at God because I didn't get the contract and I wanted it. And I made the assumption that the entire reason I was told I had to go to that talk and meet somebody was to learn I did not win that contract, and that he got that contract and I wanted it. And so I was not real happy.
But about 30 seconds after that, I am still to this day convinced she went, well, he got the money. I think I'll date him so I get it anyway.
That wasn't really my intention. It
I
worked
know.
out.
It makes a good story. Now, while she was yelling at God in her car driving home, I went home, called my mother and said, I just met the woman I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. I knew that fast.
I'm slow. I did not know. I was just mad at him.
You knew Monday, the next Monday though. This
So
was
then-
like a Thursday or Friday.
So then after that, we started dating.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get the money, by the way.
I didn't lie. So what happened after that is we said she was going out of town. She had a business trip scheduled already to go to Australia. Can't get much further from Dallas than Australia. So I said, okay, you're going to Australia. I want to see you again anyway. Why don't you come by my office and we'll get to know each other. So she comes to my office. I say, by the way, you're going to Australia. I've got this music CD that
Back
I
in the
want
day.
that I can't get. It's not available in the US. It's out of Australia. She's looking at me like, what are you asking me to smuggle? So she wants to hear it. The song that was one of the songs on the track is called Above with Eagles, and if you want to know, the album is Uluru by Tony O'Connor. All right, beautiful, grand music. So we walk into the inner sanctum, the private part of my office, not the waiting room, and I put the music on so she can hear it. This is not planned, folks. Literally, our legs go out from under us. We're sitting on the floor in lotus position, and our souls do that between us. We just sat. That was it.
That was the weirdest thing I've ever had happen in my life.
Our energies just became one in that moment. We were already finishing each other's sentences. We started, and this is twin flames, folks. This is why I'm sharing this. She grew up in Tampa, Florida. I grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas. You draw a line across the Gulf of Mexico, it's almost a straight line between those two. All right, it's the same environment. Our families of origin were very much the same with each other.
So it was almost like we were both handed the same script.
Yes.
In life.
All right.
It was kind of weird.
We worked with an extreme extremely small and very unusual to work with population in psychotherapy.
We both
Right.
did.
We both did. We were
But-
both considered experts at it.
So it was just very odd. And what we found, I don't want to belabor the point, there's more to that story.
There's a lot more to go.
But
This is still week 1, by the way.
and then I ran away and went to Australia. Like, this is too much. I got to have a break. No,
You should have seen the phone bill, though.
what we found was, you know, whether you call it twin flames or just really extreme soulmates or whatever you want to call it, when we look back, we realized that we both, were complete and whole in ourselves.
Yes.
Neither one of us were looking to date. Neither one of us cared to date. It was just for fun. We weren't like hunting for the right partner. Number 2, we'd done a lot of our own personal
Yeah.
work. We'd embraced our shadows. We'd done all that. Number 3, we had also both already been to Samadhi
Yes.
before we met each
We
other.
had both done that.
We'd already connected with Source. We already connected with oneness. We already understood the world from a very different point of view than most people. So we were in a very different space.
Mhm.
And whether that is, and again, what you label it, whether you label it as just because we've done all that work and we're really, you know, soulmates, that's fine. I don't care what the label is. Or you want to call it